Welcome to another episode of the Lightspeed Investing Podcast. Today we have David Carmichael back again. He is the CEO and creative director of Capture the World. He comes from very humble beginnings with a great story to tell, specifically continuing on his father's legacy. So David, so happy to have you here today, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm great. It's always a blessing to be able to connect with entrepreneurs that are in business because they want to produce more impact in the world. And for the listeners who may not have the opportunity to listen to our first episode, can you just give them a recap of what Capture the World is exactly, and how it came about, right? Especially from an inspiration point of view.
Oh yeah, no problem. I can definitely speak on that again. So yeah, Capture the World, it's a clothing brand, right? So it started with my father, how you mentioned carry on the legacy. So my father was incarcerated when I was a kid. And during that time, he had the vision to create a brand when he was released from prison. And during that time when I would go visit him, he would well, actually, he would tell me he didn't have the name yet, but at the time, he would tell me he had a dream of like creating like a clothing brand, printing t-shirt printing business. And when he got home, that was probably like he was incarcerated for about 11 years. So when I was 13, he got home and he started the brand called Capture the World. And it was a clothing line slash screen printing business for, printing shirts for other people in the area. And as I got older, I became, interested in wanting to get into business. And, events led to me having to take it over. So my dad passed it down to me and I renamed it Capture the World Apparel LLC. And, basically the name means, just try to inspire people all over the world to capture the world in whatever their God-given talent is. So we use clothing as a way to express that message. And yeah, we try to, put a lot of thought into our designs and really try to capture our creative minds with clothing and inspire people to do that. So yeah.
Nice, man. That's really, inspiring and super important. And, to my understanding, you not only have to Capture the World clothing brand, but you're also super passionate about the Capture the World Festival, right?
Correct.
So you mind kind of sharing with the audience what is the main difference between the two, and the reason behind creating the secondary component in the form of a festival?
Yeah, no problem. So Philip, the way the festival came about, I would do a lot of, we call it pop-up shops or vendor events or trade shows, whatever, right?
Right.
So I would do these different events and sometimes my dad would come with me and I would do these events and sometimes, some of these events would be slower than others as far as like sales and revenue and just gaining customers, you know what I mean? So um after doing a lot of these events, I decided, it would be cool if I can like do my own event. Like I'm relying on these other people to do events so I can gain, customers for my brand. Why not I just do my own event? So it's the initial idea started with just doing because like these events will just be like, all right, they run out of space, they'll charge a vendor fee, then you'll come to the event, they'll invite people, and that's how it went. But I kind of want to take another step to level up and do something a little bit bigger than just a event where you just come to a event space and there, all these different businesses. I was like, what if we create a festival where how you might see like these festivals like Coachella or Rolling Loud, it's not as big as that now, but that was my initial idea, like to start small and move big, right? So long story short, I was like, it would be cool. We can create like a whole festival behind it, right? Where we have vendors, performers, and different types of art. Like people would have like art displays and art installations around the place we do it at. And also the pandemic played a part into it as well because I think that we had the idea right before the pandemic, like in 2019,
Okay.
and then we did have the plan was to try to do it in 2020. The pandemic came and that made it even more of a reason to do it, because a lot of people were discouraged, a
Mhm.
lot of businesses were struggling, and we knew when the pandemic kind of died down and people were coming back outside again, and things kind of got back to normal, people were going to be looking for stuff to do, right? And these businesses will be looking for places to get their business back. You know what I mean? So like we knew that was going to be needed in the community. And I decided to call it the Capture the World Festival. That's another great reason to tap into our brand. And it also displays the message of our brand, Capture the World. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying? Like all these business owners and performers are capturing the world with their talent. So the whole idea was to bring more attention to my brand.
mm.
But on the other side of it, we are giving other businesses and performers and other people exposure to what they do as well. So it was, we was able to get more eyes on our brand, but we are also providing an opportunity for all of us to network and provide something to the community as well. So that
That's
was the whole
amazing,
reason behind
man.
it.
And
Yeah.
where, just so the audience understands, where exactly is your festival based out of?
Yeah, no problem. So it's based out of Hampton, Virginia. It's at a local park called Mill Point Park.
Mm,
Um right beside Hampton University, a very historic black college in Virginia, Hampton University. So yeah, like the space already has like a little stage, and so that was another reason we did it right there too, because it was already like a little stage already there, and it had all the hookups to be able to hook up like sound equipment, and you can have put on a full performance for the performance and everything. So yeah.
That's amazing, man. And so, for the listeners, right? Obviously, you kind of shared why you created Capture the World Festival. Why is it called that? Now, for you, right? If you had to share some wisdom points, because you've been around, event building, so to speak. What are kind of your trials and tribulations in terms of wisdoms and mistakes to avoid if someone was to say build an event, for their own business?
Yeah, so when it comes to, I would say the first thing you can do is make sure you have enough capital to do what you want to do, or just to make sure you create a budget and know what you want to do and know what your limits are. And if something that you might want to do this year, if you can't do it this year, save it for next year, but just do what you can do to get it started, right? And also have a plan together. Try to find people that maybe know about event planning themselves, and that way you can bring them onto your team. And to it makes it easier for people to already have knowledge about that type of thing to have on your team. And just know what you need, as far as like, you might have to go to the city, or know what type of property you're using as well.
Okay.
Because it's a difference between using a public space and a private space. So the space that we're using is owned by the city of Hampton.
Mm,
So that means you have a couple of more things you have to pay for to be able to use that space. I mean, obviously you still have to have insurance, but it's extra fees you got to pay to the city of Hampton to use it.
right.
And just know what you're getting into at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So
Right. And of course, there's a lot of moving parts, right? Like you talked about how you gotta, coordinate a festival where you have performers, team members, right? Vendors, suppliers. You obviously gotta set up the event, right? Market it, etc. So, you want to kind of break that process down a little bit, and unveil the back end logistics of what it takes to create a successful event. I think, that's a super important information for people to know as well.
correct. So I think for me, it was, even though I was just telling you about how that we're using city property, and that involves more things we got to put in place. But in my opinion, I feel like that helps you to put on a better event, because the city is going to tell you what you need
Mhm.
to have. You know what I mean? So if you don't have those things in place, they're not going to let you do the event.
Mm,
Right. So it's like you got to pay the rental fee to rent the park. And then the city's going to tell you, all right, well, we need some insurance to cover us, you, and the park.
mhm.
So you got to have that. Then you have to get like and I know every state might be different for certain things I'm saying, but
Okay.
in Virginia, you have to have a seller's permit. So you having vendors that are selling stuff on their property, but you're renting it out, you as a business owner have to pay for a seller's permit so these other vendors can sell. So basically you're covering them. That
Mm,
way they don't have to do it. You basically buying it so they can sell at your event, which you're renting a city's property.
I see.
And then they ask you about, if you're selling alcohol. We don't sell alcohol because there's a lot of things that it makes the event, I mean, the whole logistics go up as far as the
Yeah.
budget. So we kind of refraining from alcohol right now. Maybe in a later time we might introduce that later on. But yeah, it's extra things you got to do to have that. You got to have an ABC license and a whole bunch of stuff. That makes your insurance go up. They require you to have security to, protect the guests. So yeah, I'm trying to think of other things. If you have performers, you want to make sure you have good sound equipment that can um so performers can have the best performance, that can so they can basically just need good sound equipment. You need a company that can, bring sound equipment so the performers can do their thing. You want to have a ample amount of staff to help with trash pickup, signing guests in, letting them know where everything is. You need public restrooms, porta potties. I'm trying to think, man, a whole bunch of stuff, man. I think I covered a lot of it though, for sure.
Okay. No, that's super insightful. And I wouldn't have known that, right? If I didn't speak with you. So, I mean, how did you find all this information out? Did you first get a group of mentors to show you the way, or did you just start doing and you just learn, until you were like, oh, oops, that's not the right thing to do, and here's how I'm going to tweak.
Yeah, it's a little bit of all those things, Philip. So I know I definitely utilize YouTube a lot, and I use YouTube for anything, even stuff that's not relating to the festival. That's stuff I want to learn. So I looked up videos of like how to do event planning, how to throw events, and I did reach out to some people that do events out here in my area that have done maybe like mini festivals or vendor events, even the events I've been to that led to me creating my own thing. I've reached out to them and asked them how did they even get started. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
man.
going back to those people that I connected with back then, they gave me some pointers on that as well. Um, and like people that might have worked for another company or festival, like as a volunteer, or maybe they was on the staff themselves, reach out to them and ask them some questions. And then even when it came to like what did I need as far as like the sound equipment, people that knew people was like, hey, reach out to this guy, he does sound equipment. Reach out to this guy, he's a good DJ, reach out to him. This company has good porta potties. Like everybody was giving me like information on who to contact. Oh, I know a guy that does security. You should contact him. He's a good guy. Even with trying to think, like even with performers, hey, you should get with him. He's a good performer. He does a lot of events in the area. You should reach out to him. Those type of things. So like that's people that knew people and people that actually was in that field before. I got a little bit from everybody. So
No,
definitely
that's
helped me a lot.
important, man. And how long has it been, since you've been on this journey to now where you're able to produce events on a consistent basis? Has it been 3 years, 5 years?
Yeah, so the festival started in 2022. So obviously this year would be the 3 year mark, which is going to be, June 22nd is the event.
Mm.
And yeah, like I couldn't even fathom me even doing something like this, like doing my own event. I never knew that I had it in me, but I was very passionate on getting it started and it's getting bigger and bigger every year. And it's exciting to do as well, like throwing a whole event. And that it's benefiting the people that come, it's benefiting them, you know what I mean? So it's not all about me, just
Mm.
people putting eyes on my brand. I really get a joy out of like helping people and seeing that people are making connections because they came to my event and it's like it's helping everybody, you know what I mean?
And yeah, you want to elaborate a bit more on that, in regards to, because you talked about how this, you pride yourself on, this is not just like a festival, like your regular entertainment festival. Like people
Right.
that show up, they actually get to build relationships. It's kind of like a networking festival as well. So, how does that, how do you facilitate that?
Yeah, so I know for myself, me personally, I've met a lot of people along the way, like people that have production companies that, that came last year. And and people that have other businesses that was, you know, like people, for instance, like marketing companies, like people that weren't vendors, but it was like, hey, I got a marketing company. I can definitely help you even gain more exposure or get people, even more people to come. You know, that was something that I didn't expect to even see or hear about when I went to the, you know, come into my own festival. And then
Right.
the artists themselves, like, you know, they were able to like network amongst themselves as far as potentially collaborating on each other's songs. Like, you know, hey, we should make a song together. I like your music, it's dope. You know, that's the artists that came for the most part, that was their first time seeing each other perform.
Right.
You know, like they didn't hear about the other artists before. So like that led to them like, hey, maybe we should do a track together, a song together, right? Different business owners, like it might be a business that's selling their stuff that potentially has something that they can help another business with. You know what I mean? Like somebody might have a clothing line, but somebody might have a printing business that can help print the other clothing line's clothes. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a business to business relationship, right? Instead of always just a consumer to business, you have
Yeah.
business to business relationships
Strategic
that can be
alliance, you know.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's great. So what type of genre of music are you producing, at these festivals?
Yeah, so and you know, I wanted to be really diverse. The first festival was more hip hop, R&B. Even last year, not last year, but the year before was more hip hop, R&B. But
Right.
I think last year, 2023, is when we started to like be more diverse. And I'm saying that because, you know, we had a live band, we had a country artist, you know what I mean? So my goal is to eventually have it diverse where everybody can get something out of it. And even if it's like a genre of music that you don't normally listen to, you might be more willing to tap into it after you might have heard somebody perform it live. You know what I mean? Like you might not be a hip hop guy before you came to the festival, but by you seeing these people perform, that might change your mind about, hey, maybe I should tap into hip hop more or even country. I don't listen to country like that. Somebody might say that, and they might be like, hey, maybe I should start listening to more country artists. This performer I seen and did a good job, and maybe I should start listening to them more. You know what I mean? So, and even just finding different artists, you know, people that you didn't hear about before, you know, seeing them live always changes your mind on, hey, maybe I should stream their music more. You know what I mean? So,
Mm.
yeah.
So how many people we know from year one, two, and now year three, would you say typically attend your festivals?
Yeah, so I would say the first year it wasn't that big of a crowd, but it was decent. I would say about 250.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that's 250 throughout the day. Like it wasn't 250 all at one time. Obviously, it's an open park, so
And
like
it's a
people gonna
one
come
day
in and out.
festival. Is that
It's a
right?
one correct. Yep,
What's
yes,
the
Philip.
time frame of that one day?
It's from 12. The first year was from 12 to 8, and
Oh, I
then
see.
the last 2 years or the year previous year we cut it down to 12 to 7.
Oh, okay.
And it's gonna be the same time frame this year, 12 to 7.
Gotcha.
And we have performances all day, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
So 250 the first year, and what are you looking at this year?
right. So 250 the first year. Last year was about maybe 450, 500.
Oh, wow.
Right now we got close to 400 RSVPs already.
Nice.
And yeah, so like the first year we didn't really all right, so it's free. Every year it's free. It's a free admission. I forgot to mention that as well. But the thing about that, we didn't really include metrics to really track who came. So this year, you know, we started the RSVPs in January, and that way we can really have some real metrics on
Okay.
who is coming and how and the amount of people we know that are coming. So right now we are close to like 400 RSVPs. You know, the goal was to get to the same number 500 and even more. We still got 3 months to go, and I can imagine the amount of RSVPs we'll have by the time the festival is about to start. So
And you talked about, right, when it comes to event creation, marketing is obviously really important. So, why don't you touch base on what it takes from a marketing standpoint to get these people to actually, show up, not just register, but actually show up in person? And, why are you only doing the festival once a year as opposed to maybe twice or three times?
yeah, that's a good question, Philip, about why don't we do it more? But I'm gonna answer the question about the marketing first, and I'll circle back to that part.
Yeah.
So, and you asked like why is marketing important in that regard, correct?
Well, how and well, what are you doing to get these people,
All right.
yeah.
Right. So we do a lot of Instagram and Facebook marketing,
Okay.
running like, a lot of those Facebook, Instagram ads.
Okay.
That's really all. That's like the majority of our advertising and marketing. Running Facebook ads. So for instance, the ad we're running now is the initial flyer that we posted, announcing the festival date, um, the time, the location, and reaching out to vendors, performers, volunteers, media, right? So we've had like over like 30 people sign up to perform. And obviously, on the website it says it's not you're not gonna that's not you're not obligated to perform, or you're not guaranteed to perform by you signing up. So we're
Okay.
just giving people opportunity to sign up, and then we're gonna review their music, and then
Mhm.
we'll reach out to everybody to let them know, hey, we think you would be a good fit, or we don't think you would be a good fit. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Because we do have very limited slots. But as far as the marketing, just encouraging people that just want to come to RSVP, and making it free does make it easier on our end to get people to come out.
Right.
And we get our revenue for the most part from sponsors and vendors. You know what I mean? So yeah, so basically the marketing is just us just running ads on stuff that we posted on social media. And then we do some in-person marketing as well, like putting flyers up, going to establishments and asking them, can we put a flyer up in your business? And we even ask, like, what do you charge for us to do it? Because we don't expect for you to just let us come in your establishment and just put a poster on your wall. So we do expect, like, they might charge us to do it, but we got to do what it takes to get people to see it. You know what I mean? So especially establishments by in that area too, where people go all the time. You know what I mean? So
Okay. So, I think that's a great segue. Thanks so much for all the information you've provided, on this episode so far. If anyone listening, is compelled and they want to check out the festival itself, how can they do that?
yeah, so if you want to check out the festival yourself, you can go to www.capturetheworldfestival.com. And you can also follow us on Instagram at CTW Fest. And also on YouTube, you can type in Capture the World. That is our YouTube page. And you can watch all the performances from last year. And if you're out of town, if you're not too far from Virginia, feel free to make a nice road trip to the festival. Like I said, it's free. And you can also RSVP online as well on the website. I just said captureworldfestival.com. So yeah, you can reach out to me on those avenues, and look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, man. If you guys want to have a good time, not just be entertained, but also be able to network with different artists, vendors, suppliers, clothing brand, industry, business owners, this is the spot that you want to be at. David, it's so good to have you as a guest on our podcast again. Do you have any concluding remarks and comments for the audience listening before we close out here?
I would just say, if you have something that you want to do, man, just take one step forward and just figure out what you got to do to get it started. Like I was telling you before, I had a dream, well, not a dream, that's the idea of doing my own event, right? And sometimes, you can do stuff maybe better than something that you might have seen before. I can do it this way. And if you have that idea, just look up what it takes for you to even get started, and don't let nothing stop you. And then we all are talented people. And I just encourage everybody to, capture the world and whatever they want to do in life. So
Love it, man. Thanks so much, David. Appreciate you being on here. Appreciate your time, and hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.
likewise, Philip, appreciate you again.
Yep. Take care, man.
All right.